heard a lot of highs, about hundreds and hundreds of highs in the chat. So I am excited to start yet another fun session of abstract art with you all. And first, let's start with how many of you enjoyed the session yesterday and what all do you remember from yesterday's session? Can we quickly write in chat? Did you enjoy the session? You can either wave your hand, raise your hand, or send a smiley. Okay, I see a lot of yes, yes, yes. Great, what a response. That gets me excited. Okay, great. So today's session will also be another fun artwork. We'll do two actually. The one that we started yesterday, we are going to complete that, but that will be towards the end of the session, okay? The one you see right here is going to be towards the end of the session. So we've got some completion to do from yesterday's session, right? The ones who made this, we are yet to do the outline and everything. We'll do that towards the end of the session. But before that, we've got a new thing to learn today. We'll be working on sea animals under the sea and something about the beaches. And you know why? Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit information on today's session. Okay, I hope you all can see my screen. Yes? Okay, great. So today's session is all about lines and dots. We all remember that yesterday we did abstract art, right? Now, abstract art was all about colors, shapes, forms, patterns, and lines, and lots of dots. So yesterday, as you can see in this artwork, these are all the elements present for abstract art. But today, we are going to specifically talk about lines and dots in abstract art. Yesterday, I did tell you about abstract art, right? And some of you even shared Muddle Puddle, the name of the session yesterday. So yeah, we know that abstract art is all about lines, shapes, dots, and colors. I also remember telling you about Aboriginal art from Australia, okay? This artwork that you see in front of you is all about dots, right? And you also see lizards in the middle. Do you know why? Let's find out why. Now, I told you about Aboriginal people from Australia are the oldest natives of that country, okay? They are the ones who've been living for many years in Australia, and they express and communicate their ideas, emotions, dreams, their history, their knowledge about place, and the love for their land through their art and pictures. Okay, when they paint their pictures, they use abstract elements, the ones that we used yesterday. So let us come to know a little bit more about Australia, right? The lizards that you see in the middle of this artwork is because Australia may be an island country, but it also has a desert, okay? So lizards, those specific ones are found in Australia. Okay, so the Aboriginal people, I'll just repeat it for you. They are the native, the first, the indigenous people from Australia. They tell their stories through their paintings, through their art. They use symbols, lines, and dots. Their stories are also called dreamings. Just that I told you their paintings are all about their history, their dreams, their mainland, the love for their country. All of that is put together through colors, lines, and other abstract elements in their paintings. So their stories are also called dreamings. Okay, so you would have seen these pictures yesterday too. So these are the women from their community, the Aboriginal community. They paint really large canvases together. So these are the men who are also painting, and you would see in their paintings, there are lines, patterns, circles, dots. Well, dots, talk about it. There'll be lots and lots. Okay, so I've got a little video of this very famous artist who's from Australia. She's an Aboriginal artist and she paints beautifully. Let's have a look at how she's doing. All right. So do you see how beautiful this painting is? And see how hard she's worked to paint it all. So first she drew all the lines and the symbols and the circles and the shapes. And then she started filling them all with the dots. Look at the brush she's using. It's more like a stick. She uses a wooden stick to paint. Okay. Now, all the colors that you would have seen are the colors of reds, oranges, and all the colors of the earth. You would see an orange, a yellow, a brown, a little bit of green as well, because earth grows plants. You know, Australia being a desert, there's cactus also grown over there. So you use green also. They use earth colors. The reason why is in the olden times, like long back ago, when they used to paint, there were no brushes or watercolors or sketch pens or pens. Nothing was available at that time. So what they used were colors of the earth. They would use rocks, charcoal, sand, soil, leaves, roots of the plants to create all the colors that you see here on your screen. So they actually crushed the leaves. They would crush the roots of the plants. They would crush the sand, mix it with water, and then they would paint, not with a brush, but with a stick. So it's easy to make the dots also with the stick. It's easy to make the lines also with the stick, and all natural colors that they create themselves using things from their environment. Yes, isn't that a great idea? Maybe next time you all can try using a leaf, crush it, and see how beautiful a green it makes, and use it in your painting. So these are some of the materials that they use. As I mentioned earlier, they use a wooden stick to paint. They use natural colors that they make themselves. And also, the paintings that they made were not made on paper. They were not made on canvas. Now they have started making it, but earlier in the olden times, there was no paper or canvas. What do you think they made it with? Wood? Yes, exactly. They used wood of the trees that would get dry up, and they would paint with all the natural colors that they make. And here you see on your screen are two beautiful paintings of the fish. And you know why the fish and the lizard? Because fishes are in the ocean. Australia is an island country. So you're surrounded by water all across. And there is a desert. So you've got desert animals there too. So you see lots of dots that are basically different creatures around the sea. And this huge whale fish that you see in front of you. On the left hand side also, you've got elements around the blue, maybe corals, maybe rocks, maybe seaweeds. All of it is made with dots, if you notice. So, as I said, there were no brushes in the olden time. There was no paper, there was no canvas. So all the Aboriginal people painted on wooden barks, okay? Pieces of wood that they would take from the trees that have dried up or dead. They would make natural colors out of plants, sand, charcoal, and then paint over them. They also make musical instruments with wood. Can you think of a musical instrument that is made out of wood and can be played like this? Like this man playing a flute over here, although it's not called a flute. Find out what it's called. Okay, Google it for me and let me know. Okay, now let's repeat ourselves what we learned yesterday and what we just saw on the slides. Aboriginal art is abstract. It uses lines, colors, shapes, patterns, and dots. The paintings are made with natural colors, but now we've started using acrylic and watercolors and poster colors and brushes, but they were originally made with natural colors. Now we use paper and canvas to paint on, but earlier they used wood, yeah? Dry wood, barks of the trees, scraps of wood. They used sticks and their own fingers to paint with natural materials and colors. Now, all the Aboriginal art you would have seen has symbols, shapes and lines. So some of the Aboriginal paintings have these symbols that you see in front of you. These wavy lines and squiggly lines, they denote smoke or flow of water. Maybe if you're wanting to make river, you could just use these lines and make the river. Instead of making a proper or a realistic river, you can use this symbol to showcase the river in your art. The one that is below here with the circle is used for a star or a sun. That's the symbol you find in Aboriginal artworks for making the sun or the star. The one on the right here, which looks like a rainbow, it's actually a symbol for a sand hill or even a cloud in the sky. Yeah? Just observe them carefully because we are going to be using these symbols in our artwork today. Okay? So wavy lines for water flow or smoke. Okay? Rainbow-like lines for a sand hill. Okay? And circle and dots around for a star or the sun. So remember these three symbols. There are actually many, many symbols that they use in their paintings. And the large paintings that they have just has about hundreds and hundreds of them. We are only using 3 today. So what do you need to get started? Same as yesterday. Your sheet, a new piece of sheet. You need pencil and you need the watercolors, the brushes, a little bit water in the bowl to wash your brushes and tissues so you don't muddle around. Okay. Shall we get started? So we are going to do 2 artworks today. The one that we are starting right now is the new one, okay? And you are all going to draw with a pencil only, okay? I'll be using a sketch pen so that it's clearly visible on the screen. You all will use a pencil to draw today's artwork. But towards the end, we'll also do the second that we are supposed to finish from yesterday. We will use the pen for that and to complete the patterns and the outlines for that. But that will be towards the end of the session. So let's get started with a new artwork right now. Okay, so I'm removing this. This was yesterday's work, but I'm going to help you finish that today. Remember? Okay, you all need some time to get your materials on your desk. We'll get started with our drawing. So Australia is an ocean, right? Ocean has many animals. How many of you can share with me how many animals you remember out of the ocean? Apart from a fish or a whale or a shark, what all do you remember? Or maybe if you visited a beach, you can share what all do you see at the beach? An octopus, starfish, turtle, seahorse, jellyfish, shells, dolphin. Yes, for sure. Wow, smart kids. You all know. How many of you visited the beach? Have you collected shells at the beach? Well, I have. And I've got my memories in a purse, you know. I wish I could show it to you today, but I couldn't find it. Got lots and lots of them. So let's get started with our artwork. Your sheet is right here. So many of you said starfish, ma'am. Sea, shells. Oh, you collected 20 shells, says Avantika. Great. So let's start with the starfish. Okay, I'm using a pen. You all will use a pencil. Don't forget to use a pencil, all right? Okay, let's start with a star. Simple shapes of a triangle, okay? Triangle, but you have to do a slightly rounded edge to the triangle, right? Slightly rounded, which becomes the ends of a starfish. Okay, we are starting with a starfish at the beach, right? So another triangle goes right next to it with a rounded tip, and then the other part of the starfish. I hope you all are following. You can give me a thumbs up or raise your hand and send a smiley so I know you all are following. Okay. The third part, a triangle with a rounded edge like this. Yeah. The fourth, a triangle, a rounded tip. A triangle, the fifth and the last part. A starfish is ready. I will show you the colored picture yesterday. After a while, let's finish this one today. And of course, towards the end of the session, we'll relook at finishing the one that we made yesterday. So let's start with this picture today so that we have two paintings, you know, two good paintings of abstract art over the weekend. What more can you ask for? So everyone's made a starfish. Can we just show a thumbs up? Have any of you seen a starfish in real? You can tell me in chat if you have. Oh, wow. So many thumbs up, so many yeses. Great. And how many of you have gone to an aquarium under the, in any other country? Maybe not in India, maybe somewhere else. Have you gone to an aquarium under? Well, I had gone and I saw baby sharks there. I saw huge shells, squids, all of that. It was mesmerizing. Yes, there's one in Singapore. Okay, so shall we move ahead? Now you saw those symbols, right? For a sand hill, we had those rainbow-like symbols. I've seen starfish on the beach. So I'm going to make the sand around. And I'm going to use that symbol that was present in the slide I showed you for a sand hill. So rainbow-like, it's like seas, okay? Small sea, a bigger one. Keep increasing the size of the sea and you get that symbol right. This symbol is for a sand hill. It's something also like a Wi-Fi, you know, maybe if I turn it around, it's like a Wi-Fi too. You all know the Wi-Fi symbol? Of course you know. So let's make another one to show that the starfish is around the beach. It's around the sand. So it's come on to the shore to greet us for you all to see. Okay, so my sand hills is made. My starfish is made. You would have seen starfish have this texture all around them. How do we denote that texture? Maybe with dots or some circles. Let's try some circles on its body and the dots too. You can make the dots later with the pen, okay? Right now with a pencil, you can just make the circles all around. I have even touched a starfish. It's as hard as a rock. It's not soft as a squid. It's really hard. Okay. What color of starfish would you like? I've seen a bright orange one at the shore. How about you guys? The ones who have seen a starfish, can you tell me the color you'd like to use in yours? I will be reading in chat. Orange, pink, red, purple. I've never seen a purple starfish. I've seen a purple jellyfish though in the aquarium. I've also seen a jellyfish that gives out light, you know. God has made such beautiful creatures around us. And we are so lucky to see them also, right? At least on the pictures. All right, so starfish is made. It has come onto the shore. I'm telling you my story, right? We can make stories with abstract art. How much fun. So I've got the sandhill with the rainbow symbols around. I've got the starfish. I've got the circles and dots on the starfish, which we will paint later. Now, what about under the sea? Any other animal you'd see? A lot of you told me an octopus or a squid. I may not have the space for a squid, but I can definitely make another coral. You know, at the seabed, there are corals. I'm not going to make a real one. I'm also going to use shapes and lines to make what's on the seabed. Maybe rocks, okay? Maybe for rocks, we can have a shape like this, an uneven shape like this, an uneven shape like this. Yeah? Now we'll make a huge coral under the seabed. So we are going from the seabed to the shore. So you've got sand here on top. You've got the starfish here. So as we move down under the sea, we get to see the corals on the seabed. So for a coral, I'd like you to make a shape like this, which is like maybe some sort of a circle, but not a perfect one. It's okay if it's not a perfect circle. We don't require. Now we make circles around it. It's not going to be a realistic coral. I tell you, we are using abstract art elements to make the coral, right? So we can have circles all on the corners. Okay, so I'm going to wait for you all for a minute and you can answer some of my questions. All right. What are the colors of the corals under the sea and what do they look like? What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you look at a coral under the sea? Have any of you gone diving, sea diving, where you've seen these small fishes and corals swaying around under the sea? It's like they're dancing under the sea. Did you hear the music they were dancing on? Maybe they have a music of their own. Maybe the water current has a music. Yes? So, yellow, purple, green, every color, yes. The corals are every color you can think of on Earth. All right. So this shape should be done by now. Shall I move ahead? Yes, multicolor corals. Orange. Rainbow colors. Why not? What's on the sky is on the sea as well. Now let's get started. with finishing the coral bit. Okay, so you've got these circles around, a huge, some sort of a circle. Now we'll make triangles joining together towards the center. It's like a clown's hat. You know what shape this becomes? It becomes like the 3D shape of a cone, you know, simple circle and a triangle on top to give you a cone shape. Yeah, so the inside of the coral is all about the cone hats to show that these are the parts of the coral. Somehow it looks like a fruit to me, the ones that we did yesterday. Somewhat looks like that, but it is a coral. But we are using abstract elements, right? Okay, you can have some dots on these rocks, the irregular shaped rocks. They don't have to look exactly like those smooth river stones. Some of them can be ovals too. So this is the seabed and there is a coral around. So we are going to make some of the rocks around. Yeah. What else do we see at the seabed? Lots and lots of seaweed. Okay. So we can start with lines now. Wavy, squiggly lines like they are swaying to some music, right? So you can make long, thin leaves. Have you seen eels in the aquarium? Those who've been to an aquarium? They are like a ribbon, right? We make ribbons to denote seaweed, right? Okay, so how many symbols have we used till now? We've used only the sandhill symbol. But for water, under the seabed, as the corals and the seaweed sway around, it's the water also that keeps moving, right? So for water, we use the symbol of a spiral because the water goes around in circles sometimes, it goes around in waves. So there are two symbols for water. We either make a swirl like this for the water to show it's going around in a circle. We can even make wavy lines like this. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. We are going to be using lots of lines and dots today. You see all the seaweed is so long and so sway. I don't know what you say. If something sways like a ribbon and dances like the ribbon, what do you call it? Groovy? Yeah, maybe the seaweed is groovy. Okay, so we've got the underwater thing here. Oh my God, I forgot the shells. Bubbles can also be made, simple circles. What shape would you recognize in a shell? You all can share with me on chat. What kind of shape is a shell? I know shell itself is a shape, but is it more like a round shape or a half circle? A cone? Of course it is a cone. A spiral shell, yes. See? You all are so smart. Twirling, I love that word. Whoever shared that. Twirling is a beautiful word. Oh, unicorn horn shell, of course. Unicorns aren't real, but I'm sure their horns and the real shell is very similar. Square. Well, I haven't seen a square shell. Who's seen a square shell? Maybe in Fantasyland there is. Or maybe deep down the sea, there is a square shell also that we haven't seen yet. Somebody even sent me the shape of a shell on chat. Thank you, Bhargavi. That was interesting. All right. We can even make bubbles of water, you know. So maybe Bubbles can have dots inside them because bubbles have air inside them, right? And let's make the shells. You all told me there's conical shells, there is semicircular, half circular, and spiral shells. But we are going to make a shell which is something like a semicircle. So I'm going to make it around the sand, you know, maybe in the same shape as the sand hill. A V and a semicircle. Simple. And I'm going to make lines around. Yes. Another empty space here. We make a V and a semicircle. And then maybe join it with lines. Starting from this point, we make lines and make the shell. Okay, so some water is traveling to the sand also. And what was the symbol for water? We had flowing water with these wavy lines. Up, down, up, down. We've used lots of lines today. Now our dots are left. Maybe the dots can be made with paint. The dots can be made with the pen also. Yeah, you can make the dots with pencil very light. Don't press the pencil too hard, okay? Otherwise the paint will not be able to cover the pencil. And we need very light drawing, right? Okay. How many of you can show me a thumbs up if you're done? And if you want me to wait, I could wait. Great. So you can answer one more question of mine. How old were you when you saw the aquarium? Those who've seen it. And how old were you when you went to the beach and collected shells? 5. I was 25 when I went to the beach and saw the aquarium. You guys are lucky to have visited the aquarium at 4, 5, at such a young age. Wow. And which country did you go to? Was it in India or abroad? If you've been to a sea outside India and in India, is there any difference between the sea? The color of the water, the kind of shells you may have seen over there, or the aquarium that you had gone to? Goa, yes. Goa is a beautiful place. All my shells are from there only. Okay, Dubai. I've never been to one. In Dubai. Okay. Great. It's nice to know that you all are so well traveled and you know the shapes of the shell, the colors of the shell. You've even seen animals in an aquarium. Wow, you all know so much and you've got so much to share with me. There is no difference. Okay. You don't find any difference in the beach in Goa and anywhere else in the world. Okay. Okay, great. Now I think we should get started with the painting bit. Okay. We will have to give it some time to dry up also. So we must start painting. All those who are still drawing may just hurry up. I will just start with a simple color of the blue. Like the sea part, the under the bed part with the coral and the rocks and the seaweed. I will start with the blue paint. So I'm going to open my watercolors. Okay. I'm going to take a brush with a little water in it. I drop water on my watercolor and get enough paint on the sheet so that I add a little more water and spread the paint. It's okay if some of the blue goes onto the shell. We can always cover that up with another color. Just like yesterday, this one is also going to be very, very colorful. Okay, so I've got 3 shades of blue, in my palette. If you see, I've got 3 shades of blue. The one at the bottom is more like the sky color. So I'm not going to be using that. The other 2 in my palette on top are the darker blues. So for water, whenever we paint for water, we use the darker blues, okay? We may even add a little bit of green. Sometimes the sea also appears slightly green. It is because of the seaweed underneath, the color of the seaweed shows through, okay? So the dark blue for the water at the seabed. I'm only starting with the corner. And my coral was supposed to be purple, but I'm going to use some red on top for my coral too. This red is more like a pink. When blue and red mix together, they make some sort of a violet. You would see in these corners, they're making a violet color. So watercolor is magical that way, When we use a yellow on a blue, we get a green. Just like yesterday, remember? When I was painting the fruit and the tomato, I mixed yellow on the blue and I got a green there. It was magical. So when you use red on the blue, you get some sort of a violet or a purple. Yeah. So get the coral be some sort of a purple and more like a red purple. Yeah. Okay. So that's my coral. Let it dry up. I will continue with the water in the corner. Wherever you've got these wavy lines, the symbol for water in Aboriginal art, these swirls and these wavy lines, they are all water. So we can use the blue for water around these symbols. Okay, so fill up the areas with the water. But maybe leave the seaweeds. We are going to use a green. You can make a green also, If you paint the seaweeds blue, how will you get green? You can use yellow on top. So once the yellow will mix with the blue, it will give you a lovely bright green. But for now, I'm just painting the outside of the seaweed with the blue. So those who don't have watercolors, like yesterday also some of you didn't have, that's okay. You can use sketch pens to color inside. It's less messy also and you will get finished also faster. So you can use sketch pens to color inside all the drawings that you have done. Okay, but not too much, huh? Just very lightly use the sketch pen. Yes, please paint over the pencil. Some of you are asking me as to when to use the pen. You can paint over the pencil because if you're painting with watercolor, you will still be able to see the pencil through. I used a pen because my pencil drawing won't be visible to you, right? So I had to use a pen so you all could see clearly what I was doing. So I used a pen because my pencil drawing was already done. But you will be painting with a pencil first. You will wait for the paint to dry and then use a pen. Towards the end of the session, we will complete the one that we did yesterday with the pen. And in the same way, you'll be outlining this one also with the pen. Okay, so let's just quickly finish the blue of the water. Maybe I can add a little bit green also because seaweeds are green, right? And sometimes the color of the seaweed shows through the water and it appears also slightly green. Now this is too dark. Maybe I can add some yellow on top. So I wash my brush, take clean water, take some yellow from my palette and add it on top of the seaweed. This is a better green. This is such a lovely green. Some more. My seaweeds are like ribbons who are swaying to the music of the water current. Imagine you being a seaweed or a coral, happily, colorful way, you're dancing around the bed and you get to see all the fishes and all the animals around every minute of the day. Yeah. All right. The rocks and the water needs to be completed quickly. So a little bit more blue around the wavy lines and the swirls. You can use brush pens too. Nowadays, the sketch pens have been replaced by brush pens. They are also as good. Even I've got brush pens, but I love to use paint, you know. I love to use a brush. So I prefer watercolors. And because you're painting the sea, you must use watercolors. They are transparent, they make it look like water, and they are very, very bright. Okay. What do you think the colors of the rocks could be? There's a lot of coral around the rocks. Please suggest a color for my rocks here. I can't think. I don't want to do a boring gray. Gray is boring. Tell me what. Maybe a lovely, nice orangey brown. How about orangey brown? Even yellow, why not? We don't have yellow. There's quite a bit of blue here. So I'm using the brown in my rocks here. And one child suggested purple and blue. I already have blue and purple, so much of it. So maybe a yellow too in my rocks. Oh, lovely. I love the yellow. So beautiful. You know, in the water, when I said that the seaweeds give a reflection of green in the water, you can even add some yellow on the blue. So you will get a lovely green through the water. Why not? Sea is so colorful. And there's not one color that you guys didn't suggest to me. I mean, you suggested more colors than I actually knew there were. Oh my God, I already feel like going underwater and seeing all the lovely animals and the lovely colorful corals and the starfish at the shore and whatnot. So what kind of tropical drinks you've had at the beach? I've had a pineapple crush with coconut water and lemon and all those refreshing drinks. Can anyone tell me what all do we eat and drink around a beach? Okay, someone seems to be annoyed because they may feel that I'm going a bit too fast. Okay, we'll talk about what we eat and drink at the beach for a minute. Okay, till everyone else catches up with the drawing. Coconut water, lemonade. Oh, somebody had burgers too. Beach and burgers, I think, are a great combination. Ice cream, since it's pretty warm at the beach, ice cream is also a good option. It's so refreshing. Fishes. Strawberry milkshake, that's a healthy option. Great. Ice creams, coconut water, lemonade. My mouth is watering already. Okay. Now I need a lovely color of the sand. What color will the sand be? Will it be a brown or a yellow? Or somewhere in between? What will be the color of sand? Brown or yellow? Oh, somebody said yellow ochre. Smart kids, you all know what the color of the sand is. Yes, I'm going to be using a yellow ochre. This is like a dull, darker yellow, but it's lovely for the sand because this is actually the color of the sand. So I'm going to use that around the sand hill symbol. You remember the rainbow-like symbol that we used from Aboriginal art with these lines and curves? Like different sizes of the letter C. That's where we use the yellow ochre. So it's not like a bright yellow, but a little darker yellow, something like in between a brown and a yellow. Okay, I need color suggestions for my shells also. I can't think, I just can't. White shells will be boring. Please give me a nice color to use around my shells. So the sand hills are going to be yellow ochre. Yes. Nice. I'm quite liking it. I actually feel like going to the beach and having a lemonade and a pineapple slush and maybe coconut water too. Okay. So I've got these wavy lines for the blue of the water because sometimes water waves come onto the shore as well. So we are going to add the blue around the sand also. And a little bit of, okay, I wanted colors of the shell, please. Somebody said light pink, light blue. Okay, we can have some light pink and light blue shells. That's a good idea. Something different from the watercolor blue. And the hero of this painting is the starfish, okay? So I'm leaving the bright red orange, reddish orange or a bright orange for the starfish towards the end. So I'm going to finish the light blue in the shells and the light pink in the shells. So one of the shells can be a light blue like this. And the other one will be a light pink. I'm going to use some red or a crimson. It's more like a pinkish red and add some water to it to give me a pink tone. So I'm going to use more water in it, not too much color, so that it gives me a light pink color. Something like this. And I leave it there. The starfish is my hero. Okay, I'm ready to paint the starfish now. Bright, lovely orange. Maybe a little bit yellow too. There you go. I love that. Add some more water to your watercolor and spread the orange all across. You can wash your brush in between, dip it in water and add some yellow. The yellow and orange, such a bright, lovely starfish. Yes. Almost done. You all can take a screenshot if you want to remember how the final work looks. But some part of my painting is already dry. I'm going to be using a white pen on it. If you don't have a white pen, you can use white color from the watercolor palette, add some water to it, and we can use white in a brush instead of a pen. Pens are kind of faster, so maybe in future you can fetch a white pen for yourself. It's a paint pen. You can even call it an acrylic marker or a white ink pen. So that's my white pen. I'm drawing some dots now. I'm drawing dots in white on the dried up area. If your painting is not dry, please don't use the pen right now, okay? Maybe I can help you. Not many have the pen, so maybe I can also use the brush. So I'll use both so you can see how I'm doing. I take some white on my brush. Yes. And then do dots. Especially in the bubbles. Somebody said bubbles could also be made in the water. So I'm doing white dots and coloring inside the bubbles. And I make small, small dots with the white paint. If you don't have the pen, you can use white paint and the brush and make the dots all around. The rocks, the bubbles, even some on the corals. No need to use whitener. Some of you are asking if they can replace the color with whitener. Don't need to use whitener. If you've got white watercolor paint, that should work. Okay. So I've got my dots. You can even make lines. You know those wavy lines for water? You can make it with white also. Because sometimes you would have seen the water waves come onto the shore and they make a lot of froth. You know, something like you have in a coffee shake or a milkshake, that sort of a froth. Those who don't have paint can use sketch pens, easy. Sketch pens are also faster and they give you equally bright colors. So I've got dots all around the water bed, around the wavy lines. You remember that lady who was painting the Aboriginal painting on a large black canvas? She also used dots all over her painting. She first drew with lines and then she used dots to cover the inside of those drawn elements. So I've got dots all over my water bed, around the water, on the seaweeds, on the rocks. I can have some around the sand also. My sand color has also dried up. So you can have these dots with the white paint. And we can let it dry. After this whole thing dries up properly, then you will use the black marker or the black pen. I've got a thick marker for you all to be able to see it. I've also got a thin black pen. You can use the thin black pen to outline the way I have outlined around my pencil drawing. I used a thick marker so that you could see my work properly, but you can use a thin black pen. So I made a painting yesterday with the thin black pen. It looks slightly different from the one we made yesterday, but this is how it looks. The thin lines also look equally good. This is the one we kind of made yesterday, but with really thick marker. Somebody mentioned in the chat, it's called pointillism. I think that's something really nice. I must talk about it. When you make paintings with dots, okay? In the olden times, lots of artists used dots in their painting, and they would make so many dots that it would actually end up looking like it was painted throughout, okay? So that technique of using dots in the painting is called pointillism because you're making small points, right? So it's called pointillism. Okay, great. So my white dots are done. I'm going to keep it aside for it to dry up. We must go back to the one we made yesterday because we've got to finish that, right? So I'm going to turn it around and get the one that I made yesterday. So this is the one that was made yesterday with you all. And you can see that I added some white pen and some patterns around my drawings. So you don't need to use a white pen if you don't have. Today, we are going to do the outline to the drawing we did yesterday. So I hope this one is done. You all can take a screenshot if you like. I'm going to read some of your questions that you've asked.
So are we proceeding with the drawings of yesterday's and sketch penning it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. So I'll wait for you. You take your time.
Okay. I won't take too long. I'll try and finish.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Minutes. Okay. So take a screenshot of this. I hope you all have. I will show you. You can even watch the recording later. So I'm going to be using. Okay. Yesterday you all painted your pencil drawings, right? So I made another painting without the outline yesterday. So I'm going to turn it around, although it's not dry yet, but for you all to see. Okay, so I made a painting only with the pencil yesterday and I painted it for you all. I'm sure some of you have your painting looking like this right now. So let's start using the black marker to do the outline. You see all these lines on top and the swirls? Now we know what the swirls and the wavy lines are for. They are for water. But you don't necessarily have to use it only for water. You can even use it just to decorate your artwork, okay? With shapes and lines and patterns. And today I'm using a thin pen. Since you've already seen what the final outcome looks like. Yes, like this, right? So I'm using a thin pen today because I feel like it. So starting with the first thing that we drew, the mushroom. I'm making the oval as the bottom of the mushroom, a circle in the center. You've already drawn all of that. And the lines on top. The outline to the top of the mushroom. Be careful. Take a deep breath and in one breath, try to just finish the whole line. And if you practice it, you'll get perfect at making circles and tracing the line. It'll come. You just need to practice painting. I'm sure you all are so fond of art. You'll continue to practice after you learn from me. Let's do the patterned lines. Remember the hump pattern we did with the U all around? The wavy line and the hump pattern. And the stem of the mushroom too. Don't forget. Let's complete one part of the painting first and then we go up slowly. The hump pattern on the wavy lines. It's like a U. It'll give you good practice of writing. If you continue to make these patterns and color them, art can help you improve your handwriting also, you know. So you never stop making art. See, through two paintings, we learned so much. We learned how to recognize shapes around us. They are in the fruits, they are in the vegetables. We also learned how simple lines and shapes can give us some symbols to understand artwork. So I'm going to continue outlining the circles and other patterns that I made around. You can even continue after the session is over, you know. You may not be able to complete it right now, and that's okay. You just need to draw over your pencil drawings. So you can make some lines on the mushroom stem, because mushroom stem has different colors, right? And the polka dots on the mushroom, right? How can we forget that? You can color inside the dots if you like, but I'm going to be making circles so I can finish faster. You can fill in the color later. Yeah, quickly. You all will be able to see a recording of this soon. So no worries. Even if some parts of your painting are left, you can always watch the recording and complete your artwork. So this was my tomato, remember? The one I did in an orange. And some patterns around with circles. Great. Almost done. I've got the spirals added to it yesterday. Well, till yesterday, we didn't know it was a symbol for water. But today we know that in Aboriginal art from Australia, they use the spiral for water, right? We've got these triangles. And remember, we did some lines also in between and some shapes. So you can outline those lines and some shapes to fill up the empty areas. I remember making pizza slices like that inside, and some a pattern to denote the inside of the fruit. Great. I'm already liking it. I'm sure yours have also come out bright and beautiful. Please do share with us how your artwork looks. Although I've seen some yesterday and I quite liked them. Almost there. Okay, continue to make lines and circles and patterns and small spirals all around to fill up the spaces. It's abstract, but real at the same time. You've made fruits, mushroom, and a vegetable, and you've decorated your artwork with bright colors, patterns, dots, shapes, lines. All right. I think you all can manage outlining the second one yourself. Don't you think? Now that you've become masters at patterns and abstract art, you all will be able to do the outline to the second one yourself. You're all smart kids, for sure. So fill up the whole thing. And of course, don't forget the white. All of it is black, so somewhere you can add the white also. White looks really good in abstract art. Along with the bright colors, you should have black and white too. Triangles to continue around my wavy lines. Maybe some squares. All right. I think I am done. You all can continue adding all of this to your painting. How about outlining the second one by yourself? I'm sure you all are confident at doing that. Prachi ma'am, I am done from my side. I've had a good time.
I have had a good time. Thank you so much for taking over this session. My mouth is watery because of the coconuts, the milkshakes. Now my mind is also watery because I'm feeling like a water child because of these seashells, these crabs and everything. It was such an amazing session. But first things first, a lot of kids have DM'd in the Q&A round that what if they missed this session or they missed yesterday's session. So don't worry. We have a backup for that. So if you have missed any session, these sessions are being recorded. So within 24 hours, the session will be uploaded on the Kukruku dashboard. So you just have to log in the details and then you can get access to all the information. And now moving ahead, as you're very inquisitive and very attentive also, you've asked a lot of questions. So Kanika ma'am, could you please answer those questions?
Yes.
So firstly, what type of paints do we use if we don't want to use watercolors?
Okay, so you can use sketch pens and brush pens, which are an option nowadays. You also get poster paints. However, the effect in the poster paints may not be great, but you can create the same effect by adding more water to the poster color. Generally, we don't add too much water to the poster color because they are not supposed to be used as transparent paint. But if we don't have sketch pens, we don't have brush pens, we don't have watercolor, then poster color. What else?
Yeah. And what is the size of the brush? I mean, the number of the brush that you are using for all this?
Okay. So I listed down in my material list that was shared with everybody earlier. So I had like a brush number 4 for painting with, and a brush number 2, a round brush number 2 for making the small dots around with white paint. So maybe these 2 brushes will do. Considering the size of the sheet is small, it's an A4. But if you're painting on a larger sheet than an A4 size, then you can increase the number of the brush to paint. Maybe use an 8 or a 9.
And yeah, one very cute question came up. What should we do if we can't draw exactly like you, ma'am?
You don't have to draw exactly like you. Sometimes I may wonder the kind of ideas you all have. Your drawings may also be better than mine, you know. Yeah. My shapes are like so straight and so like circle is like a circle, and I don't like that. Even if you draw a circle and change it a little bit, it's your creativity. So
exactly.
And with practice, you will perfect making that particular art. So that's okay.
Once again, thank you so much, ma'am. So kids, you're live in the Kukruku Art Festival 2021. It is not just the biggest, but the longest art festival globally. Not because we have instructors from 9 different countries, but also because we have our viewers from Oman, Qatar, and UAE. So let's all together, ma'am, the kids, everybody say hello to the Abu Dhabi people. I mean, I am really enjoying these sessions because you're so inquisitive, you're so talented. So this session is brought to you by Camel, India's favorite stationery brand, in association with our radio partner 92.7 Big FM. Our publication partner Sonalika, nurturing thinking minds and shaping future leaders with entertainment partner Pogo. And now kids, this is for you. You're very sweet, you're very attentive, inquisitive, you're entertaining also because the type of emojis you send, I think Kanika gets a lot of options for a drawing. I get to know that there's so many options you can type in the chat. So thank you so much. See you in the next week.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.